Moving from retail to e-commerce helped this brand grow from $15,000 per month to over $3 million per year in the very first year. Learn how video and digital marketing helped grow this business so quickly. Welcome to another episode of the Harvest Growth Podcast, focused on helping consumer product companies, inventors, and entrepreneurs harvest the growth potential of their consumer product businesses. Today, I'm excited to speak with Joe Lerario, who's the founder of MyFlipFork.com, a really cool product that helps grillers out there. Great product, but also a great story behind it. So I encourage you to pay attention to this interview. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Likewise. So tell us about the product. So for those listeners that aren't familiar with MyFlipFork, if you can describe for them what it is, what it does.
Well, it's a 5-in-1 grilling tool made to make everyone's life easier when they're out grilling. It's really simple. It's got I have one in my hand actually. I don't know if you can see it there.
So some of our audience will be listening, some will be seeing it. So if you could describe it, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's right. So, it's got a spatula, typical spatula, but what I did was I combined the fork and the spatula together. So you have your fork and your spatula bottle opener. This edge here is sharp. It's a knife actually. So when you're out there, you want to taste a piece of meat, you can cut it. It's a versatile tool. And you want to know a little bit about how I came up with this product?
Yeah, exactly. That was going to be my next question. So how'd you first come up with the idea?
I have a grill. I own a restaurant. It's called Spears Bourbon Burgers and Beer. And I love to grill. And one day I was out grilling in my backyard with my father-in-law, and I kept on calling my wife, say, hey, bring me this, hey, bring me a fork, and bring me that. And so she came out and, handed me a spatula and then a fork. She brought me like this little fork that you eat pasta with. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this thing? I threw it across the lawn. And, of course we're Italians, so we're a little bit, passionate about what we do. And I just yelled out something to her. I said, where the hell are all my tools? And she said, why don't you just take them and tie them all together so you don't lose them? And then kind of gave me an idea. The next day I was in Home Depot. I own a construction company as well. I was in the Home Depot and I was looking for some materials for one of my crews. I said, you know what? I need some new grilling tools. I went into the grilling area and they have a whole aisle of grilling tools. I'm like, what am I going to do with all this? Why can't they just make it one? So I took a fork and I took a spatula. I go, why can't I put this together? Sure enough, I went home, started thinking of some ideas. I brought it over to my welder. I said, hey, take this, cut the fork off, weld it to the spatula, and I had my first prototype. So when I did the prototype, I'm like, okay, what do I do now? So I went to go visit a patent attorney, and I wasn't going to do it. I'll be honest with you. The patent attorney, I gave him a deposit, and I guess you have like a year. You can apply, but then you have a year to actually move forward. I forgot the process. It was a while ago, a few years ago. And he called me the day before it was going to expire. And he said, Joe, I actually paid the government already. You can't, blow this thing off. And I'm like, wow, this guy's pretty serious, I go, well, do I owe you anything? He goes, you don't owe me any part of it. He goes, just what I paid into it. He goes, you have to do it. And long and behold, I moved forward with it. I got a patent, and God, it's been a crazy, crazy ride. I was looking all over the place of, where I'm going to get this thing made, and, how I'm going to get it here. And I'm trying to do all this while I'm running my restaurant. And more importantly, I'm running a construction company. That takes a lot out of me, So, and it was, God, when I think back to the journey, it was the ups and downs of it,
How did you manage to do that? I get that question a lot because a lot of inventors and product marketers start off obviously with a day job, something totally different, and they come up with an idea and bring it to market and go through the slog of making that. But I get that question, like, well, how do you make that transition to really focus on this enough to make it a success while you're running a really successful construction business and a restaurant as well. Any advice for that you've learned from this experience?
You got to work your ass off. I mean, excuse my French, but really, you have to be passionate about it. You have to be focused, and you just got to work hard. From morning to night. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and I get home after my construction business. Obviously, during my day while I'm running my crews, I'm working. I'm focusing on the FlipFork. But I get home at night and I go sit in my office and I just pound away and figure out how I was going to get this thing done, and network and meet people and but you have to put forth the effort. That's what it comes down to. It's all about effort and taking action. You hear about, Tony Robbins, take action, take action, take action. That's the only statement I remember from listening to Tony.
Yeah.
Is take action. Anything that you're doing, like, take action, right? Because you can sit there. How many people come up with an idea and never do anything about it? You know how many ideas I've come up with? When I was a kid, I was about 18, 19 years old. I wanted to buy, my father thought I was nuts. I came to him with all kinds of ideas. I wanted to buy a van, and I wanted to put videotapes. I don't know if some people can remember back that far back. I wanted to put videotapes inside the van and have people call and order a video and deliver the videos to them. So you pick any video you want, and instead of driving to whether it was Blockbuster, I'd imagine Blockbuster was around back then, I would deliver the video. I was the first Netflix. So but I never took action. I thought of so many other things. I just never took. And then finally on this one here, and I always said to myself, it was funny because I always told my wife, I said, I'm going to invent something for in the kitchen. There's something about the kitchen that I love, and I just have to make it more efficient. I'm lazy by nature. I really am. As hard as I work, I'm lazy. And because I'm lazy, I try to be as efficient as possible in everything that I do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's great advice. I think the take action piece too. So for any listeners out there, lots of my friends come to me all the time. Just, I've got this great idea, right? So they see some big success, like any product, like, oh, I thought of that years ago. That could have been mine. Well, yeah, but you just got to take action at the end of the day. So when you have those ideas, if it's, obviously a good idea and you have the passion behind it, because it does still take work, right? You've got to start down that path. It takes time and effort, but you've got to do something to move it forward. And that's really, you can't find a success without pushing something forward. Nobody, I've done, I don't know, almost 100 of these interviews on this podcast, talked to thousands of inventors over the years. We've launched over 500 products now in the market for clients of all different categories. And at the end of the day, none of them are successful on day one. There's always something to figure out, right? You got to learn. It's not just like, okay, I've got a great product. Let's just have people come to me and buy it. You got to make it happen in some shape or form, for sure.
Right. You have to make people come and want to buy it. No one's just going to want to come and buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like a construction company. No one's going to want, and just because I have a sign out that says driveways, that doesn't mean that somebody's going to come to you and say, oh, I need a driveway. You have to let them know that you're there and you can provide them with that service or that product.
Very true. So we talked a little bit before this interview. I know some of your story is you started in retail first and then made a shift with more of a focus on e-commerce just in 2020, so fairly recently. And that's part of what really helped propel your business in a very big way, into this hyper growth phase. Can you talk about how fast did your business grow once you made that transition?
We started in August of 2018. We went on Amazon, but we didn't go hard on Amazon. I was just learning the business. But I met a gentleman that had relationships with some retail stores, nationwide retail stores, and he loved the product. And he said, I can get you into, I don't know if I can mention names, but just some various nationwide retail stores.
Yeah, great.
And it worked out. I mean, I got orders at the beginning, but we didn't get reorders. And so I went out. I actually jumped on a plane, flew down to Texas because one of the retailers was big in Texas. And I actually went and visited stores in Dallas, and I drove from Dallas all in one day. I'll never forget this. I drove from Dallas to Waco to Austin to San Antonio to Houston. And I just went into probably 20 of their locations just to see what was going on, talking to the clerks, just to get an understanding of what's happening, right? And it brought me to a realization that, you know what? I have this box sitting on your shelf, but you don't know what the heck it is, right? You don't know what it does. The only way people, they're not, people aren't familiar with the brand. They don't know what FlipFork is. They know Weber, they know the green egg, but they don't know what FlipFork is. So I recognized by the end of 2019, I recognized that the only way people understand what this product is if they see a video of it or a picture of it. More importantly, the video. And that's when we recognized that, retail wasn't going to work yet. We have to build a brand. And the way we're going to build a brand is we have to get really strong on our e-commerce marketing. And in 2020, my goodness, John, I was thinking of ways, oh God, I had loans out. I had a ton of inventory. I was paying for storage. I wasn't selling anything. But I just kept on digging, right? I talked to so many people that said they can do this for me. They can do that for us. They can just, you know how it is. You just got to weed people out. And the most important thing, as hard as it is to say, you can't get discouraged. You do get discouraged, but you got to wake up the next day and say, okay, today's another day. And you just got to keep on grinding. And you're going to, they say you're going to get a break one day. Well, you create your breaks.
Yep.
Right. You got to go out there and create your break. If you think that you're just going to be sitting around and the break is going to come to you, it does not happen. You have to create your breaks. And how do you do it? You just keep working, just keep looking, just keep working, keep talking to people. And in May of 2020, I had talked to an agency. We started doing some internet sales ourselves, but we finally got the right agency involved with us. And they took us from doing, I think from January to April of 2020, we sold about $60,000 worth of product, and we finished off 2020 with $3 million in sales. So at this point now, we're just 100% focused on e-commerce sales.
Yep.
And we'll build it up that way, and we'll just continue to develop it, and then people get, hopefully. Our thought process is you'll get brand recognition, and then we can revisit retail if we even have to do that. Right.
Yeah, it's a proven approach and strategy that predates the internet. Exactly the path you're following can be very, very effective. So back in the day, the early 80s, 90s, and forward from there, TV infomercials were kind of the way to do this, right? We've been doing those for a long time, and that works for sure, right? But they're expensive, right? You got to buy national TV media to do this. You got to buy, create high level or very premium ads in video format. There's a cost to it, et cetera. E-commerce has come in and done something very similar using video. Sometimes, they're still very premium. Sometimes they're very easy and organic type videos, et cetera. But what it does, the similarity, I think, between TV infomercials and what you're doing with e-commerce or digital videos is education, right? So often you've got these great ideas. I mean, it's an amazing product, but no one knows about it. They see a box. They're not looking for that, right? They don't know what it is. Maybe if they're lucky enough, they pick it up and read it and they're sold, right? But otherwise they're walking by. So you got to create that awareness. And that's where your approach ultimately is genius, because you're making money while you're building awareness. And now eventually the retailers come knocking down your door, and it's yeah, sure. Great. Take on that extra revenue, and you're going to sell a lot more because you've got an automatic awareness building machine behind it that you've already started down that path.
I'm just trying to think of, it makes me think that we have it pretty easy now, right? Because we do have the internet. What did people do that invented something 80 years ago, 70 years ago, 50 years ago? door-to-door salespeople, right? Knocking on doors. Hey,
Yep.
let me show you this vacuum cleaner. Let me show you this FlipFork. Let me show you how it works. Because if people aren't familiar with a product, they have to be educated, just like you said. They
Exactly.
have to be taking care of it. Yeah. So we're pretty fortunate, but you just got to know how to work the e-commerce.
For sure. So are there particular marketing channels or strategies that have been particularly effective for your business that have really helped you to spawn this growth?
Well, obviously Facebook and Instagram,
Yep.
right? The shop nows, the learn more. We spent a ton of money and we invested a lot of money into those types of ads. And more importantly, now what we're doing is because we've had so many sales, we've developed a great email list. So now we're starting to capitalize on that email list as well. So, I've noticed that a lot of companies will, if you're looking to eventually sell your company, one of the things that these companies look for, a potential buyer, is what's your email list look like. I've heard of companies where they don't make any money selling with this particular agency. They don't make any money selling their product with this particular agency, but what they do is they just use them basically to develop an email list, and they're making their money from their email marketing program because it doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah. I'm glad you shared that. I think that's great advice. You think about, so if you're selling in retail or Amazon, you don't know any of your customers, right? So Amazon, you can kind of sort of get to if you look up each individual order, but basically they own that customer data. You don't, right? And retailers, of course, you're completely separated from it. But even Facebook and Instagram, yes, you can connect to them through pixels and retargeting. But at the end of the day, if they shut you down, you lose everything, right? In terms of connection to your customer. So it's some kind of connection. To great advice, I think, to give product marketers to make sure that they're not just using one marketing channel, especially if they don't have ownership of who their customers are. And the email list is a great way to do that. And as you're saying, it gives you the chance to really grow the total lifetime value or revenue per customer simply by being able to reach back out to them. So yeah, you're doing obviously all the right things. That's great advice.
Absolutely. And more importantly, when you develop that email list, as you develop that email list more and you develop other products. So we have a 5-in-1 FlipFork. In fourth quarter, we're coming out with a 6-in-1 FlipFork. So we'll be able to retarget our current customers with a 6-in-1 FlipFork. So we're excited about that, and like you said, you need to own that customer. You need to own that, and owning that email list is the key to that. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. So I like to ask this question of my guests. Are there any resources that you found to be really helpful for your business as you've built this, a book, a podcast, or a seminar, or any kind of course maybe that's been really helpful as you've developed your own business?
I don't think it's really been a course or a podcast or anything like that. I think it's been more of just talking to people.
Yeah.
Just networking. I think that's been the most important thing. Hey, you talk to this person, and this person knows that person, and you're just asking the right questions. And I think that's been the key to our growth, is just talking to the right people and networking.
Yep. Great advice. You feel so alone sometimes, sitting atop the company, and in your business, when you're at the top, you in many ways are alone. But there are many other thousands of people out there in a similar situation, even though their business might be completely different. Being able to talk to them and talk about the challenges that they're going through it can be definitely invaluable.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. I see my son is actually, he runs. For the most part, he runs the day-to-day of the business. Him, my son, and my daughter. I'm fortunate because I have two great kids, and they're really invested in the FlipFork. And he's in this office. He's in here by himself, because my daughter runs my construction companies, the office of my construction company. And then she comes here afterwards, but he's in here and he's alone, and I tell him, I said, listen, just get on the phone and just talk to people and just keep on talking to people and meet more people. Go on Facebook, get into these different investors or inventors groups and just meet people and just, brainstorm with people and pick their brains and just, you give them some information, they get some information from yourself, but just keep on learning. He just started a class at a digital marketing class at Northwestern University, Kellogg School of Business. And I just tell him, you just got to just keep on learning, and keep on meeting people. And that's how you're going to continue to grow. But you can't become complacent. You have to keep on growing. You have to keep on developing products. You have to keep on developing channels, marketing channels, whatever it may be. You just have to keep going.
Yeah, great point. Well, Joe, this has been a great interview. I think you just shared some great insights for our audience. Is there anything I didn't ask that you think would be helpful?
How did you handle your tough times?
Yeah. Okay. Great question.
Because there's going to be tough times.
Yeah.
Right. And you're going to sit there and it's going to be, you're going to get evenings and nights and mornings. You're going to sit there and think to yourself, what am I doing? What have I done here? Oh God, there's been times, but you just have to believe in yourself, believe in your product, and keep the naysayers away from you. Right. And just surround yourself with people that believe in your product as well. I had some guys that I believed in my product so much, like my attorney, like Tony Shiro, the guy that does all my designs. The guy's 75 years old. When I was going through tough times, I go, Tony, let's go for lunch. Let's go for breakfast. I was having breakfast with him almost every day, but just believe in yourself, believe in your product, keep working hard, and you'll get through it. There's no question you'll get through it.
Yeah. And as an inventor, if you're looking for naysayers, those are easy to find. No matter how good your product is, but finding that supportive group behind you, your friends and family are key to that, of course, but, growing the number of people around you that really are supportive and can help in hard times can be a big driver of support for sure. So I definitely encourage our audience, please go check out Joe's product at MyFlipFork.com. The URL is in the show notes. If you're driving, go check it out later. And actually, he's provided a discount code. So anybody who enters in the discount code Harvest Growth, all one word, all lowercase, as usual, you'll get a 20% discount, which is very generous on this great product. Also, be sure to check out harvestgrowthpodcast.com to see other episodes we've recorded. And if you like this episode and you want to learn more about how you can profitably grow your consumer product business, please subscribe to our show and leave us a review at iTunes or Google Play. Thanks again, Joe.
Thank you, John. Have a good one.